Thank you. Now we are live. We are live, and we are live in the studio today. I think we are doing a very, 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 very good job. As I promised earlier before, we are having a guest, a special friend, and it's just an honor to just be on this platform to just share the stories of hope and to encourage each and everyone to be listening and be following up the conversation that's going to be taking place. We have been having an amazing guest in a previous week, and this week it had been just fireworks. I think today is going to be one of a kind, and I want to just introduce the guest today that will be joining us live. Today, I'm honored to host Smith, who is my good friend. He's a seasoned expert in child safeguarding, family strengthening, and young empowerment. I'm going through the profile, so just bear with me. With an over a decade of experience, he had led a multi-million euro programs, managed safeguarding investigation, and shaped policies that protect vulnerable children globally. Smith holds 2 master's degrees. That's impressive. One in criminology and sociology in Bangor University, UK, and another in project development and implementation in the University of Ibadan in Nigeria. He's an expert in risk assessment, program evaluation, and stakeholder engagement. Makes him a force for positive change. So this one is not just a story; it's a profile of someone. And ladies and gentlemen, just as you have heard before, I want to bring to screen a leader, a man of achievement, a man who has done so much in his career that he's going to share with us his experience. And the topic today, we are just looking at the mindset transformation. As I promised last week, we are going to be going from topic to topic. So this week and next week into next month, we are doing mental transformation. So mental transformation is the backbone of our mind, of our development, and our goals achievement. So, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to screen Smith. Smith, I think I have just mentioned a few of your profile, and it's just impressive on the achievement. I didn't know how far it is and how far-fetched it is, and how long you have had this experience. I think when you work with someone, you just underestimate who he is until you see the profile. Then I was almost running below the bed to understand, am I the one looking at it or not? I was so impressed. I look like, should I have this conversation or should we meet face to face first? I asked you, did you copy something from somewhere or not? So I want you just to say a few things about the mental transformation. And as I had briefed you before, it's a journey I'm trying to take through, and it's a whole series of events are going to be happening. So you are just one of my best guests who are coming through, because of your experience with young people and the experience with the children, because their parents are going to be listening to this recording. Their parents are going to be going through this recording. So I want you just to start off about this topic about mindset. So I'm going to be sending through the questions which I have already prepared in advance, and I'm going just to show you through the question, then you're going to go through. So I want you just get things started.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Joseph. And this is a very beautiful platform that you've set up to be able to motivate the young minds. It's very, very important. Unfortunately for us, while we're growing up, we didn't really have enough of this kind of platform to be able to kickstart us into the right path. And it's kudos to you for really putting this up. If we really had the opportunity of having people take us through series like this, get people who have been on the road, who have been an expert in this, in what they do, sharing experience, maybe the road will have been a bit smoother for us, right? But be it as it may, we're here, and we'll thank God for the success that we've achieved today, and the many things that we have done in terms of our lives and the lives of people that we've worked with, both in and outside this country. So as you already said, my name is Smith. So a bit has given a bit background about myself. So when we look at the topic mindset transformation, it's very important that we need to understand as individuals that for everything that we do, it starts from our mind. It's the focus has to begin from the mind. How do we ensure that our mind is strategically positioned to be able to achieve what you want to achieve? One thing I'm not into really somebody who want to really be giving code, but most times what I really try to do is to bring my experience and my personal life to bear so that it's able for people to connect to, and not just come and say, oh, this person said this person said that, but I'll be able to talk about my experience. And the last time I was sharing with you, and I was saying that, once you are able to have that mindset tuning to a particular frequency of achievement, there's actually nothing that you cannot achieve, absolutely nothing. I've seen that happen, and maybe in the course of this podcast or this meeting, I'll get to share some of the experience I've had having to have my mind tuned towards a particular frequency of success. So it's about the mind, it's about transformation, it's about focus, it's about putting into perspective what you really want to achieve. So I will just summarize that as, how we see mindset transformation, putting a plan, setting the goal, and working towards the direction of what you want to achieve. First of all, start with the plan. It's not just about saying, oh, I've written it down. No, but how do you ensure that your mind is true towards that frequency of achieving that goal? So for me, that is what I see when it comes to mindset transformation.
Wow, that's powerful. Um, you are set on a high note. I didn't expect you were going that direction. So, but well done. Um, let's start again. So, can you share a bit about your background, what led you to young people development, and maybe your career shaped into children? And because that's where the beginning of our mindset, because we realize the mindset can be shaped with three aspects. One is the environment or the peer group you work with, this association, and can also be by the education. The education also play a key role. So you went into young people, young development, the children. So can you share just a little bit of the background and the relationship
Yeah.
with that area?
Thank you so much. First of all, I think my relationship with having to work with children and young person starts from my humble beginning. I come from a very large family, and I come from a very rural environment where you see a lot of vulnerable people. A lot of vulnerable children. Children really have opportunity of getting into having the basic need. Basic needs that we're talking about issues around health, education, shelter, nutrition, things like psychosocial support and things like that. So I grew up on that kind of environment, and it has always, for me, the focus have always been that if I get opportunity of having to contribute back to the society where I am, I will take it. So I pushed myself. I was able to get into school. After school, of course, we all know how it works. You start looking for a job. I was able to get my focus has always been, like I said, jumping into an environment where I will be able to contribute. So I got a job with the development sector, a very well-renowned development sector that is into providing support for children. And I was strategically placed in an environment that saw the needs of vulnerable people and also have opportunity of tapping into resources to be able to provide that support. So I stand at the position of the middleman where resources we're able to clamor for resources, and we got the resources and we're able to ensure that we provide that impact, into the lives of people. So in the course of my work, I've seen people who as a result of their very background, their level of vulnerability, were not able to think about what will happen tomorrow. But I and the team of mine were able to work with these young ones, and we saw transformation. It's a passionate thing. It's something that gives you so much joy having to contribute to the lives of these young people. So, like I said, first of all, it started with my background, having to see what was happening around my environment, in the rural environment where I grew up in, and seeing, you know, pushing towards getting an opportunity to be able to contribute, make that impact. And over the years, like I talked about, it has been something that's driven me for over a decade, and it's something that continues to drive me, because we all believe, the leaders of tomorrow are the children that we see today. But how do we ensure that we are contributing positively into their lives to be able to get to that position? So that is a driving force for me. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Uh, I was just dancing through the conversation uh, about the passion that you have about the young people, and how you are determined to shape their understanding, their minds, to shape their career as early as they were young.
Mm.
So I want to just start shifting gear a bit. While you were doing these biggest projects, maybe engage in different projects, what are the biggest challenges you have faced and in your work, and how did you overcome them? That
Okay. There are a lot, but maybe I'll just mention one or two.
yeah,
You know, First of all, one of the things that I face, of course, I will not say just me, in the process of having to provide support, is the fact that some people, you see, there are a group of people who are fixated into a particular mindset of inability to see change happen. It's very difficult for you to be able to impart in the lives of somebody who does not see change happen. It's very difficult. There's a parable. I don't know how, if I get it right. You can take a camel to the stream, but you can't force him to drink water, or the other way
wow,
around. Okay,
yeah,
so there's so much you can do, but at the end of the day, there are situations whereby you meet people who just feel that I was born like this. I don't think change can happen. So we have worked with vulnerable families, or worked with vulnerable families, parents, to be able to provide support for their children. And at the end of the day, some of those supports that you provide for the caregivers to be able to ensure that children get quality care don't get to the right channel. So that's one thing. For example, I give Joe a certain amount of money and say, Joe, use it to take care of this young person, and Joe is using it to do something else. So it's a mindset thing, for like, oh no, I don't think this change can happen. Let's just take this advantage of what I have, to be able to live my life at the present. So I think if I should summarize that, one of the biggest challenge in working with young people and families is the mindset of living in the present. Do you
wow,
understand? Living in the present. Living in the present basically will mean that I give you money to go and buy a textbook. You say, no, I want to use this money to go and play gamble, or I want to use this money to go and enjoy my life, but you know that the textbook is something that's going to impact your mind positively towards the right direction of a tomorrow. So we are seeing people like that. It has been a challenge. So it was a challenge in the course of our work, in the course of me working with people. But yes, so how have we been able to how was I able to surmount that? It's a continuous thing. The transformation of the mind is not just a one-off thing. It's a continuous thing. So it's something that we continue to push. We push, we work towards this group of people over a long period of time. We have programs we call the life skills program. Life skills program is something similar to this, where we have people who are motivational speakers to help transform the minds of people. And we'll continue to do this. We'll make them to see a better future, because sometimes we are so enclosed in our environment that we don't see what's happening. Do you understand? If until you are able to until you expose yourself to information, or you are outside that your closet, permit me to use the word, in your closet. The closet is your comfort zone. Until you leave that your comfort zone to see what is happening, you will not be able to have that mind transformed. And sometimes you may not necessarily need to leave that far. You just need information to come to you. And thank God for technology and books and all that. So we work with these people. We're able to use information. We're able to engage positively with them, and they now it helps them to see a better future. I have so many success stories I can share. Maybe in the course of this session, we'll get to share success stories of people who will make impact in their life. And these ones, we've seen people who never had the opportunity of even going to school, who are now master's degree holders, who are traveling around the world now, and they are thanking the work that I and a group of people on the organization I've worked with do, to be able to make that impact in their lives. Yeah.
Wow. The more you are speaking, the more I was just sinking in, because the impact of mind transformation cannot be even be imagined.
Mm,
It's so big that the environment will know you have been transformed,
yeah.
because everyone will know something has happened to you.
Hmm.
Because the way you used to behave, the way you used to interact with people, the way you used to talk will automatically change. And it's like you are going to you're going to be a new creation.
Mm,
Like whatever was holding you before will no longer hold you. I was reading a book yesterday, and I started a podcast so saying that we love the mountaintop results, but we live down the valley
hmm.
behavior. So we want to go on top to be the top best, but our life we are living behavior of the valley.
Mm,
So it is that transformation that can make you go to the top. So it does. You have just made it so sound so nice. So I want us to take it higher a bit. So I want you to go deeper into this topic, and this is how we're going to take it now. Uh, how is it that, or how important demand transformation to the personal and professional growth?
mm,
How the impact? How can you say it?
mm. Thank you so much for that question again, Joe. Like we all know, based on the conversation so far, it starts from the mind. It's basically starts from the mind. And I started by using having your mind tuned to that frequency. I use that word, having your mind tuned to that frequency. Personal development is what every other organization. As a matter of fact, when you applying for a job, they'll tell you that part of the personal description or person's specification, they'll tell you that you should be committed to personal development. As because nobody wants somebody who just be so comfortable with the status quo. Oh, take this and do this. Take the plate, put it here. Wash the plate, do this. Nobody wants that. Every organization wants somebody who is innovative, who will be able to bring something on board. As a matter of fact, there are organizations willing to employ people who is willing to challenge the status quo positively, not negatively. So the personal growth starts from the mind. It starts from the mind. And for you to be able to do that, you need to look at it. Where do I want to be? What do I want to see? How do I want to become relevant? Those are the thinking, that's are the thoughts you want to have in your mind. We should, as individuals, I think one of the first thing you need to do to yourself, is to tell yourself that this is not where I want to be. It's very, very, no matter where you are, even if you are working now and you are earning so much, you feel that you're so comfortable, always tell yourself, this is not where I want to be. I don't know if the time will permit me to share my personal story. You know, uh, Growing up, like I talked about earlier, I grew up from a very humble background. My parents were farmers. I used to follow my parents to farm. And at the end of the day, um, during the process of farming, you most times I'll just get tired and said, no, I don't want to do this again. I'll be crying. From a very young age, I've always told myself, this is not it. My father was a very big time farmer. Everything was going well. But I always told myself, this is not it. This is not it. This is not what I want to be at a very young age. I grew up, I got to a particular stage, I was in secondary school. I found myself with the wrong set of people. It got to that stage. I told myself, no, this is not what I want to be. I was like playing the local champion. Everybody respect us. The girls were liking us in the street. Everybody just respect us that, oh, we are the boys happening. But for me, I told myself this is not really it, and I pushed it, and I went to a higher institution, and I had friends who still stayed at that local level and said, "Ah, no, we are still the champions." I pushed myself to that level. There were hiccups in the war, of course, it will happen. I pushed myself to that next level, and I got myself into university. From there, I pushed myself to a higher institution. Now I have two masters. It has always been the mindset that this is not it. I'm working at a very good organization. Yeah, I work remotely for an organization. back home. I work here in the UK, but still, I'm still here and telling me there's still more impact that needs to be made. That is a personal until you find yourself in a position to say that there is more to it. There is more to what I want to achieve. You will just want to put yourself in that status quo. And for you to be able to achieve that more, that means you need to break the boundaries. That means you need to tell yourself, I can do more. I need to be able to do more. If you're earning 100,000 naira or 100 k pounds today a year, and you feel that if I make more, I'll be able to make more impact. If impact is what you want to see, then you need to push yourself. And to push yourself is not going to say, oh, my manager, I need a salary increase or I need a promotion. No, you need to be able to bring something to the table. It's what you're able to bring to the table that they will see and say, yes, this person deserves to that next level. And what are you bringing to the table? Mind, the wisdom, the knowledge that you have acquired, the experience, the exposure that you are giving to yourself. I can sit here and talk about developmental work because I've been there for over 10 years. I've been there, I've worked, I've traveled around the world, and I've acquired knowledge relating with both black, white, Asian, different categories of people, because I decided to push myself. If I tell you my story, there's nothing. If I tell you where I started from, I'm telling you there's nobody that cannot. It gives me that opportunity to say that anybody can achieve anything. Anybody can achieve anything.
You almost made me shed tears that nothing is impossible under the sun. There's one common thing that happened to every human being, and whether you are rich or poor, whether you are strong mentally or not, there's something that happened to us every day. It's called the sun. The sun comes out to you if you like it or not. It will come out, and it asks no permission. That's how change should start in your mind. You should not ask anyone permission to become who you want to become. Personal development is personal. It's not a group thing. You made it sound so good, and I read through your CV, and there's something I crossed that made me feel almost embarrassed. That you have worked on multi-million euro project. Did that thing affect you mentally, or change your mindset toward becoming pride or having weird behaviors because you are dealing with billions and millions and millions of euros? Did it affect your mindset? Say now you change the way you look things, the way you become, the way you relate with people. Did it affect completely, or how was it? How was the impact?
For me, it's for me, I saw it as an opportunity to serve. I think it's about individuals. For me, I've always seen myself as somebody that humble and willing to serve. Okay, so I'm not somebody, I've never been somebody, I guess it's the exposure, like you talked about, the environment, your education also contribute to the way you think. So that's why, one of my one of the things I talked about these days, like, if you want to really see change happen in Africa, we should go and get people who have worked with vulnerable people. Do you understand? Who have really worked with vulnerable people and see how vulnerable, to that grassroots. Go and pick somebody who has actually worked with vulnerable people. It will be very, very difficult for that person to see people suffering and just keep a blind eye. So like I said, my environment, changed that process for me. I never saw myself being proud. I worked with people. One thing I was telling somebody recently, and I told them that, when I worked in projects, when I go to communities, you'll see children running around to come and hug me. You see families, being happy. They see me, they're happy, and like, oh, they're seeing the same. But for me, it was not about that. For me, I was saying, what can I do more? What impact can I do more? Because sometimes when you work in project like this and you are leading a project, vulnerable people see you like a god. It's just like practical example is that anybody that is downtrodden, anytime he sees somebody that is providing meat or providing food for them, that person is seen as a god. Do you understand? Because there's a parable where I come from. Is I think it's in the Bible. So Lord, do not let me suffer to go and beg food in the hands of my enemy, because at that point you see your enemy as a lord, as a king. Do you understand? But for me, it was not about that. For me, it was, what can I do more? When I see somebody, so I saw somebody who was crying yesterday and able to put smile in their face, and now it's smiling. No, what can I do more so that this person will continue to live a happy life going forward? So it's my environment contributed, my mindset also improved, made me not to feel proud, but to stay focused on the goal. The goal of ensuring that we are raising children, we are working with young people who will become leaders tomorrow. I used to tell people when I work with stakeholders in the community, I said a young person or a child that you take out of the street today will be a child that will have constituted problem for you in the future. Do you understand? Because if you don't get it right, that child, first of all, an armed robber will first of all learn how to steal his environment. There's no wrong way, because he has to know the tricks. You understand? He needs to know how to break windows, and he's not going to go far to go and do it. You first of all understand how to do it in the environment. So if you're able to provide support, you're able to provide positively to that young person you are seeing on that street, you're making impact in their lives. It's for your own safety tomorrow. Because if something happens, it's going to be your phone they are going to steal, it's going to be your windows they are going to break. So instead of having that money and living large and being so rich in the midst of so many poor people, why don't you make impact and let them see you like, oh, this is the person we need to protect? Even if outside enemies are coming to attack you, they will be the one to first fight your battle, because they know you're making impact in that community. So that was it for me. I can go to any of the communities I've worked now. I have friends, I have children so many years ago, young children that say me, they say chat me up, they say reach out to me today, because I humbled myself towards ensuring that I make impact, and impact was my goal.
Wow. I will not add anything. I just go let it just sink in the audience who are going to be listening forward. I want to bring a very, very sharp question. This one is step by step. So, what are these key habits of an individual for him to have that growth mindset? What are these key individual habits that you maybe say these are the habits that someone you say these habits, they are able to have a growth mindset. So, like, just in your understanding, maybe drawing from your experience, what are these habits that someone can deploy?
So when we look at habit, so when we look at habits, we're thinking about looking at things that we need to do, on a regular basis to ensure,
Yes.
we want to see the change that we want to see. So one of those habits is, for me, drawing from my own experience. We have already talked about the mind now, ensuring that the mind is well positioned. It's looking out for things that will actually promote that growth. And how do you do that? It depends on the little things that you do. How diligent are you with the little things? So diligent is part of those key things. You are very diligent in the little things that you have. It's part of those habits that we need to see. You're not the kind of person that just takes something and says, it's okay, it doesn't matter, we have completed it. But how do you ensure that you pay due diligence towards what you want to see? Another one that I also want to talk about is, you are conscious about growth. Conscious about growth is that you are absorbing all the information that will promote your growth, absorbing all the information. These days, social media has taken a whole lot from people. When we were growing up, we didn't really have so much of it. Maybe it helped us, maybe it was also didn't, maybe helped us, but I'll look
Yeah.
at it from both ways, because at the end of the day, now we have more information even in your hand that you can have access to. But then we didn't really have that information that's really readily available everywhere. Okay, so maybe it's also a distraction. But first of all, how do you ensure that you stop distracting yourself from all the noise around? I go through social medias, but when I'm scrolling through, I'm looking out for information that will change me. I'm looking out for the next thing that will improve my life. Don't be carried away by the noise around you. Focus on things that will impact your life, and pay attention to it. I am married. My wife knows that she can be here is telling me something. I'll tell her, please, I will not be able to listen to you. I will not be able to respond. I will listen, but I will not be able to respond to you until I've completed what I'm doing now. Okay, until I've completed what I'm doing now. So that diligence, that focus on information that will improve your life, there are two very key things that I can mention now. Maybe in the course I'll talk about some other things, but those are some of the habits that I have, that I also feel that it will also help people when they put this into use.
Uh, Someone told me very simple advice, I think, in 2022. He told me, you will become what you watch the most.
Mm-hmm.
If I watch TV from morning to the evening, then my mind will not think anything away from the TV. But if I read books, read in the morning, the whole day, what I'll be doing to my mind, I'll be getting ideas on how to live my life correctly. So these habits in the wave of a lot of noise, social media, you said, you have to really know how to filter them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know how to filter the noise for you to be able to focus on the goal. That was so profound. And I want us to just take 2 or 3 questions, then we shall be having a wrap up of this conversation. That there's something about child protection, and I asked the last guest about children, because parents play a key role in their children.
Mm.
So, like for example, if you call your child a name, that name can become an impact to their life.
Mm.
And when they grow up, they may associate themselves with that name.
Mm.
So, what's the role of the parents in shaping the mindset of their children? What's the role? What's the role?
Thank you so much. So the parents, like I tell my children, it's children are heritage of the Lord. It's actually, I tell my children that you are God's children. I'm a custodian. God gave me a responsibility to be able to take care of you. He saw me as being responsible to take care of you, because the script, to be able to ensure that we raise the children in the right way, it's God bestowed on. So sometimes people just have that mindset that, oh, these are my children. It's actually they are God's children, and we are custodian, because they'll grow up, they'll live their life, they'll be responsible to God, But how do we ensure that we shape their lives in the right way? So the role of parents, it's very, very important. It's very, very important in the lives of children. It's even clear in the Bible. Say, train up a child in the way it should grow, and when he's old, it will not what depart from it. That is one of the rule, or the mandate that God has given to us. Somebody said that give a child is like a clean slate. I can make a child to become whoever he or she will be. So that is our role. We play a key role in ensuring that as parents, we protect, we provide, we nurture, we impact positively on the growth mindset of children. One thing that we also notice in the lives of our children, when we're growing up, it was our parents will tell you, listen to what I say and not what I do. Because you know what will happen. Because if we do what they do, they are going to definitely it's not going to spare the rod. But these days, it's a form of abuse. So children watch what we do more than what we say. Okay, so we are supposed to be a role model. You cannot tell your child and say, take your book, go and read, go and read morning to evening, and your child has actually never seen you even opening the book to read one day. What kind of role model are you? At least, even if you don't even know how to read, if you watch Ben Carson, sometimes the mother didn't know how to read, but the mother once a while pretended to be reading, will open the book just to motivate that child. It was later I grew up and noticed that the mother can't even read. So you need to be that role model that you want children to be. So do things, play that role, in the lives of the children, nurture them, protect them, guide them in the right path. Because children spend most of their time, most of the time children spend is with their parents. So how do we ensure that children are getting the right information? And sometimes it's not so easy, because if you have a parent who have been raised in the wrong environment, it's going to be more or less like a garbage in and garbage out. The ICT people, you guys know about that. If I don't know, I will not be able to give you. If I have a wrong information, I'll also pass the wrong information, right? So that is part of things that we do. So play a key role. So when during part of my work, what we also do is that we have what we call a parenting skills training. This is a training where we continue to engage, where we engage parents, on the right parenting skills that will help them to be able to provide the right support, the right guidance for the children. Maybe if you're able to come up with a series on this one, I'm an expert in parenting skills. It has really helped. We have seen parents with so many huge success stories on how our parenting skills training has actually helped them to be able to impact positively in the lives of their children. So to sum it up, parents have a key role. They have a mandate by God to be able to ensure that these children grow up and grow well, because a child not provided with the right support is a child that's going to obviously become something that the society or the parents will not be proud of tomorrow. So, yes, we have a lot to do.
I think I don't want to run away from the fact that you are a children safeguarding expert. I want you to just take. I have two questions on the children. I want you to just take 5 minutes on each question. Just explain it very nicely so that someone who will be listening to it can be having that kind of information. So, what are some of the most pressing issues in the children safeguarding today? Maybe the issue that you see that they are pressing that need to be addressed, and how can we address them?
Okay, so pressing issues are enormous. For me, I've worked in different countries, and different countries have their unique peculiarity when it comes to vulnerability that has to do with children. So we have seen situations whereby, mostly, for example, in Africa, we have seen a lot of abuse happening to children. Abuse in terms of abuse happening everywhere, but what is more particular, mostly in Africa, we see a lot of physical abuse on children. We are seeing situations whereby sexual abuse is happening to children. Part of the country, it's part of the some part of the Western country, we are seeing children being sold out sold out to people who are supposed to adopt, but of course they are sold because they don't go through the right adoption process. We have seen situations where parents will give their children to other people to go and beg. They'll have children surrounding them so that people will give them money because of the children. So a lot is happening to children all around the world. But of course, in the Western world, we see children who have been exposed to the wrong information, juvenile delinquency, as a case may be, children exposed, you have children at early age smoking, drinking, clubbing, because they don't have the right parenting skills. So yeah, so those are cut crossing issues around abuse of vulnerability of children around the world. So what are some of the suggestions that I'll bring to bear? It still goes back to the status quo. We just talked about parenting. You just talked about parenting. It's a very strong. So when you go through something, when you see some verse in the Bible, you just take it in the light of it. When the Bible said, train up a child in the way it should grow, and when it's old, it will not depart from it. It's a very strong word. It's a very strong one. So we have to go back to the status quo, because when children are growing, is the information they're exposed to, both on virtual or the one they hear using their five senses, is information that they are exposed to that will ultimately shape the outcome of their lives. So that's why we have a role to play. Parents have the role to play in all that. For example, you cannot scold a child who you sit in his presence, smoke from morning till evening, and you say that child the cigarettes tomorrow. How do you expect to justify that? Yes, you may say that child is a child, you're not supposed to smoke, But like I said, children are learning from adults. You send a child to go and help you buy cigarettes, you know. You send a child to go and help you buy alcohol, you know, and tomorrow you see this child hanging out with the wrong set of people. Come on, you cannot separate yourself from that kind of situation. You know, yes, you may, I don't know, some people smoke, they justify they are smoking. Some people drink, they justify they are drinking. But how do you ensure that you are doing this? You are not exposing children to this kind of things and not exposing them to this wrong information. So we have parents have a long way to go. That's one. The environment also contributes. You know, back then they say it takes a community to raise a child. This is one of the slogans when I'm taking parenting skills. Before then, it takes a community to raise a child. You know, back then when we were growing up, it's a communal thing. If I'm not at home as a parent and my child is misbehaving, a neighbor can bring that child and say, no, you are doing the wrong thing, and scold that child, correct that child, love that child. But these days is about competition. You know, if my child, God forbid, you know, is going astray, the neighbor will be happy and say, thank God my daughter or my child is better than that one. Are we together? You know, so that is what is happening. Nobody cares about any other person anymore. You know, so those are some of the things. How do we ensure that we take that communal thing and see everybody's child as our own child? Because, like I usually tell people, if that child goes wrong tomorrow, it will rob you tomorrow. It will carry a gun and you'll be the first person because you're the closest to him or her. Okay, so we need to see from that angle, we need to see from that perspective and ensure that we are able to provide the right support for children.
Wow, you even answered my next question because you spoke about community and the role you play. And I know people are shifting from community-based life because everyone now is selfish. I was saying the other day that mental transformation supersedes the need for competition. That's what I said yesterday on this week, that when you start transforming your mind, you remove that aspect of competition, that if I see a neighbor's child behaving badly, you just keep a blind eye. Then you leave for them to get astray so that you can celebrate, which is very wrong. That we need to have that transformed mind, that if you see a child misbehaving and it's in the community, which means we have responsibility to point out and they say this child need to be going to school, this child need to be doing exactly the right way behavior, because it's going to be a role model to the coming generation. Because if a child behaves wrongly now, when he reached 40 years, he could be an old man or an old woman. And there are young people who are going to be looking up to his age or her age. So if they are wrong in their mindset, they are going to transfer the disease to the coming generation. Let's not be ignorant. All happens will come also to you.
Yeah.
So if we ignore the disease, at one point the disease will eat you. Because as you said, if they start stealing from you. If they start breaking from you. So you made it look so good because from your expert and from your experience, I want just to give this last question, then we close up. What like an advice to the young professional who want maybe to make impact in the social life and maybe to do it better in child protection? What can they do? What can they do?
Yeah, so thank you, Joseph. So for me, I feel that um, it's not like when it comes to human development, it's not like learning how to cook, because they'll tell you put this and put this together, and your food is ready. So when it comes to human development, every day you continue to learn. I attended a training recently on behavioral change, behavioral modification, having to develop behavioral risk management. And it was a whole new definition for me because back home, we don't really do behavioral risk assessment. We do more of safeguarding risk assessment, child planning and all that. And I said, wow, this is a whole new spectrum for me. I've read about it. I've read about behavioral change communication. I'm expert in behavioral change communication and all that. So I said, oh wow, this is an area that I really need to develop in. And I got back and like, okay, I need to start reading in this area. So for me, my advice is that, first of all, you need to know your onion. You need to know what you're bringing on board. Like I said, it's human. When it comes to safeguarding, you are dealing with human being. And as you are dealing with human being, you need to understand it from every angle. You need to be open-minded when you are dealing with people. So that's one area. Do a lot of studies. Do a lot of studies. If you have opportunity of doing a course related to safeguarding, like you already know, like you mentioned, my recent master's degree was in sociology and criminology, more focus on safeguarding investigation and all that, child safeguarding investigation and all that. So it's an area. So you need to find a way to develop yourself in that area, that you are expert in. You have to understand the policies. There are several policies from different countries, depending on where you find yourself. Have a good strong of the policy, because for you to be able to protect the child, you need to know the rights of a child. You need to be able to promote the rights of the child. So those are some of key things that you need to do. And of course, having to sum it up, you need to position yourself and say, yes, I am ready for that change. I'm ready to be able to make that change.
Wonderful. I want just you. I'll give you this maybe 1 minute to just give a parting shot. I want you to make it so powerful. What will be your message to the mindset transformation about that, and what will it be like, and to make it so good so that someone else can benefit from it? If you could leave just one powerful message on the mindset transformation, what would it be?
So for me, that would be that you can actually be whatever you want to be if you put your mind to it. If you put your mind to it, you can achieve whatever you want to be. Do not look at where you are right now. People have been there, they have gone past it, and they have become who they are today. Be focused. You can achieve anything you want to achieve if you put your mind to it. I think that will just sum it up. For us. I don't want to go too much, but like I said, you can be whatever you want to be. Put your mind to it, work towards it, and your goal is achievable.
A big thank you to Smith, and I want to say thank you so much for just
so much,
honoring
Joseph.
my call.
Thank you.
And when we meet again, I think our conversation is going to change.
Yeah.
I'll give you the respect you deserve going forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you
have
so
a good
much.
afternoon. We shall catch up
Thank you
later on.
for bringing me onto the platform, and I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you, and have a beautiful afternoon. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you guys for listening to the powerful message from my friend Smith. And I think from today I have just said I'm gonna look for him, and I'm gonna say sorry, and really sorry for the embarrassment I have been put in my mind about him. My mindset about him has really changed already, and I'm so happy that he has given us takeaways, and he has said you can become anything you want as long as you put your mind on it. So go and be who you want to become. So goodbye for now, and in Kenya have a good evening, and in the UK have a good afternoon.